You mentioned the assessment that you had me take earlier.
Yes, I did.
You want to dig into that?
Yes.
Okay. So when you looked at it, when you got here, you looked at it, you said, "Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to know more."
Okay.
First of all, what was the assessment for those who don't know? And then why do you have people do that? And then what do you see?
Yeah. So, not many offer this. And it's crazy because it exists. We have the child version of the sensory profile and we have the adult version. And we really only use it in the land of OT for pediatrics. And, there's important things to kind of discuss. So I'll give you a few, and then I'd love for you to tell me which ones you think you are, okay? And then I'll tell you actually what you are. Okay. So
the test.
There's 4 different categories.
All right.
One is sensory sensitivity, where you are just completely sensitive to stimuli. Sound triggers you, touch triggers you, taste. And it's just, you're very on alert, I would say, in terms, bright lights or things like that. But you're just a little bit more sensitive, right? Your nervous system is just a sensitive little being. So that's the first one. The second one is called low registration. And it's incredible how many people, when I explain it on my reels, they're like, "Oh my gosh, like I didn't know, like that's what this is. Oh my gosh." And low registration, I want you to take low out of it and just think of registration, of like, how do you register the world? Am I noticing the colors in the environment? Am I noticing that I'm about to trip over a book? Do you bump into walls? Do you get your, jacket hooked in something in the kitchen and things like that? It's really, how are you registering the environment and the world around you? The next 2 are either, and I've just kind of mentioned it previously, is seekers and avoiders. So, like I said, I'm a seeker, which means I'm a full-blown gas pedal. So I told you before we started recording the podcast, like if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it up. And that's totally because of my seeking tendencies. Seekers are ones who go, 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 go. They're the ones who even can be considered like, I have ADHD. It's the ones who really crave input into their body, and they go from task to task to task to task. And when you're thinking of them, even in the form of children, you can think it like they're your monkeys. They're the ones who are scaling the walls, and they're going from one plaything to another, and they're leaving a mess and trails all along the way. So seekers are really, they're craving all the stimuli within their nervous system, like their body and brain needs it and wants it. Now, avoiders are the opposite. Avoiders are like, I don't need that. I don't want that. I'd be totally happy at a spa with a book and silence. Like, almost think of it as like an introvert, where like you just don't need a lot of the stimuli, sound, touch, light, taste, like all the different things. You don't need it into your body, and your brain is not craving it. So,
all right.
What would you think you are? I told you it was very interesting, your score. So,
yeah, I have no idea, but I'm going to go with this. I would say I don't think I'm an avoider, and I maybe wish I was an avoider. Like, I love the idea of laying on a beach and reading a book by myself. I love that idea. I fantasize about that idea, and I never do it. I live in Hawaii. I can go to the beach any day I want to. I never do it. Maybe that's because of obligations or whatever. But so I'm guessing I'm not an avoider.
Okay.
I don't think I'm low registration.
Okay.
My little brother is like growing up, every single day he's the one that spilt the milk and bumped his toe and hurt himself. So I definitely know that type. I would guess I'm a seeker, but I honestly don't know. I'd love to know what I actually am. But I would guess seeker because I'm the last one. I have to be the last one at any party I go to. Like, I can't leave before other people do. I actively, I'm like even last night, we were like, let's hang out. Like, hey, bring people over. And like, just people came over because I need more. So anyway, how does that sit with you? What do you think?
The thing about yours is I actually don't get many of these, which is like, it's an awesome thing. Straight down the middle, you are similar to most humans, which means you're pretty regulated dude.
Okay.
Which means like your baseline is you run pretty regulated. And I love that you're like, I don't think I'm an avoider. I don't think I'm a seeker, but I don't know. Maybe it's because you're you're a pretty great mix of all of them. And you can be more than most, you can be less than most, you can, based on the normative data. And especially with, high performing and you doing all the different things, being a dad, podcaster, investment, like all the different things that you do, you're pretty regulated, which is pretty awesome. Yeah. Like I was like, oh my gosh, how interesting.
Alex, she thinks I'm awesome. She says I'm awesome.
Yeah.
She doesn't know you that well.
She doesn't know me that well.
Now, do we have tendencies, right? Like when we are dysregulated, can we show signs? And a lot of people say, can I be both? Can I be a avoider and a seeker? Like, yes, your brain functions differently when you're regulated versus dysregulated. So let's say your kiddo loves deep pressure and hugs. When they're offline, they're going to be like, don't touch me. Yeah. Like if you've been in the kitchen and doing laundry and all the things all day and your kid is whining, like you're going to avoid that sound. Like you're going to be like, stop, enough. Like I can't. Right. And so it depends on where you are regulation wise of kind of, that's normally a baseline of like, that's how you would say on average you are. But it wavers depending on how your state and mental state is and how you're functioning.
People ask me a lot if I'm an introvert or extrovert. Like it's a common, question people ask. And
Sure.
I always have such a hard time answering that. Is that because like I feel like I'm not extreme in either way?
Yep. You're right in the middle. You're literally right in the middle, which is it's an awesome thing to be. Like I said, I'm more of a seeker. The work of my life is learning how to step on that brake of like, my brain is like, go, 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 go. But my body is like, I am effing exhausted, like slow down. And so the work of my life is learning how to continue stepping on that brake and give my body what it needs so that I don't have that meltdown, so that I don't burn out, so that I can keep going and doing all the things I want in my own career, in my own life, and being there for the kids. Solo parenting is not for the faint of heart, let me tell you. Like it's a doozy, but I do it every single day with regulation in mind of like, how do I feel? How do I feel? How do I feel? How do I feel? So that I can show up for myself. And that way I can show up for the boys.
So how do you step down? I think is a phrase maybe you used, but like, how do you put the brake on? How do you step on the brake? I think is what you said. How do you step on the brake?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, first and foremost, I have to ask myself, how do I feel? Like, how do I feel? And a lot of times I'll ask people that question. They have no freaking idea. Like they have no idea how they feel. I'm like, I don't get happy, sad, angry, frustrated. If you stay right there, we're good. Like that's great. And you have to ask yourself how you feel. And I would say, again, that's still more psychological lens. But the next step is like, where do I feel it in my body? And that's connecting the brain and the body, the physical side of life and the physicality of what is going on with our body, as well as the psychological of where do we feel it, right? And it's collecting different portions of the brain and making sure. And then, okay, what do I need? Sometimes I need an awesome workout where I'm like getting deep pressure into my joints and really giving myself the input I need. Sometimes I need yoga. Other times I just need to lay down. I may not want to, but I know I need to because I've kind of gone through the checklist of what I need. And the last step that I really teach is, as well as do to myself, is like, how do I go get that? A lot of times it's, how do I verbalize that? Or how do I gift myself that time of self-care? Or how do I release the guilt to say, I know my kids need me, but I'm worthless right now and I have to take care of myself. And it's a process of releasing the shame and guilt and all the different things to be able to then step in to give your body and brain what it needs. So it's a process, but it's a good one. It's an awesome one.
What about the opposite then? Those who are maybe on the avoider side, how do they push the gas pedal?
Yeah, that's fantastic question. And I work with those often. A lot of lawyers recently that I work with who are avoiders, yet feel broken inside or exhausted or depressed or snapping at their kids. And the awareness of like, oh my gosh, I'm not broken. Like, oh my gosh, like that's just the way my brain functions. It's almost half the battle to be like, thank you. Like, I thought it was me. Like, I thought that I was broken. I thought that I needed to fix myself. And there's plenty of things you can do as an avoider. There's wristbands that can vibrate to kind of stimulate you. Think of like when people go do speaking gigs, right? They're like, they like bounce around and get prepped and ready. That's revving your engine.
Yep.
So for the avoiders, bouncing on a big physio ball while you're working or standing on a balance board to kind of rock back and forth and give your body kind of that zing, if you will, almost like coffee, like give it a little bit of a push to kind of rise to the occasion is what they need to give themselves that push. But really for them, they have to really take care of themselves in terms of self-care because they're going to get exhausted because they're pushing themselves.
That makes a lot of sense. It reminds me a little bit of Tony Robbins has a thing about like priming where like I've never been to a Tony Robbins event, but I know people go to them and they talk about like you say like a word and action that like puts you into the right state.
Yep.
There's some like thing you do, right? It sounds
to kind of set yourself up for success. Yep.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And then the other two, sensory sensitivity, am I saying that right? And the low registration. Any tips for those people?
Yeah. So sensory sensitivity is really just the awareness of it, of like, got it. Now I know why I run hot and cold. Now I know why. Maybe it's the person who feels like they're always on edge. And you can be a mix of these things. It's not always like one or the other. You know, I have people who are less than most, more than like all over the place. And that is really just the awareness of like, got it. I might be a highly sensitive person, and that's totally okay. And then the low registration piece, I find that if you are bumping into walls and like I used to have bruises like all over my body, and I'd be like, I don't know, Brooke, what's that? I have no idea. And the more regulated you are, it's like as if you had grease on your glasses and then you like wipe the grease off. You are now able to see the world around you and you're able to register the world around you. So for those who are tripping into things or feel like that's me, I'm totally clumsy, you're probably slightly dysregulated. And so that regulation piece will help you be able to see the world around you and really heal that side of your brain and have more fluency within that side of your brain. You know, neuroplasticity, we can shift and change and morph and grow tons of different portions of our brain. And I don't have bruises all over my body anymore because I know how to regulate myself and take care of myself.